Royal Caribbean offers a way to bid for a stateroom upgrade and get a nicer room without actually paying the full price for it. Sounds amazing, but I was curious, how do you actually get your bid to be accepted? It seems like it was really difficult to make it work, so I looked at different strategies and read through thousands of posts on the internet about how people have gotten their bids accepted. And if you've ever wondered how people actually get their Royal Up bids accepted, well, today I'm breaking down the real strategy behind the upgrade game, and spoiler alert, it's more than just bidding high. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Let's start with first the basics. What exactly is Royal Up? It's Royal Caribbean's upgrade bidding system that lets you bid on a better cabin after you've already booked your cruise. You can aim for a bigger balcony, suite, or just more space for your family, all for potentially less than booking the upgraded room outright. And the best part, if your bid isn't accepted, you don't pay anything extra. It's up to you, it's optional, and you only pay if you actually win your bid. So that leaves you and me thinking the same thing. How do we get our bids accepted? Is there a trick to getting it accepted? And what are the ways people have found to make it work? And it really does go well beyond the highest bid. If that was the case, number one, I wouldn't be doing this video because we all would have figured it out. And number two, it would have been a lot more straightforward. But Royal Up is purposely vague. Royal Caribbean doesn't talk about how their bids are accepted. And in reality, when you look at people who have gotten their bids accepted, in a lot of cases, they are definitely not max bidding. So it's a mix of strategy and, yes, luck. What I've discovered is Royal Up doesn't just take the highest bid. Its goal is to make Royal Caribbean money. It's to sell unsold cabin, and that means it takes into account a few things that we'll get into. First up, availability matters. Of course, just because you could place a bid doesn't actually mean there's a room available in that category. So a great trick is to do a mock booking for that upgraded cabin on Royal Caribbean's website. Because if there are no cabins left to book directly, odds are you're not going to win that bid outright. Really, what you're doing in that situation is basically banking on somebody canceling at the last minute. And this is especially true for suites. There are very few of them, and everybody wants a suite. So if you're looking to do an upgrade and the room category you're bidding on isn't available because it's sold out, I would say your chances are pretty slim to begin with. Next, believe it or not, the room you're already in impacts your chances. So cruisers have noticed that some cabins, like, say, centrally located balconies, seem to get chosen for upgrade more than others. Really, it's believed that the algorithm looks at three key factors in your bid. Number one, how much you paid originally for your cabin. Number two, how much you're gonna bid for your new cabin through Royal Up. And number three, and this is the big one, how easy is it to resell your old room if they upgrade you? The whole point of Royal Up is to make Royal Caribbean money. It's a revenue generator, not just to sell unsold cabins that get canceled at the last minute, but to maximize it. Because if you upgrade your room to something else, and that opens up your old room. But if your old room is an undesirable cabin, it might not be as attractive to resell. What I mean by this is, let's say you booked like a room all the way at the very front of the ship that's prone to motion sickness, has no views, and is in an area that most people don't want to stay in. That kind of a cabin would require Royal Caribbean to probably cut prices on that cabin in order to sell it. But if you're booked in a junior suite or an ocean-facing balcony that's right in the middle of the ship, those are like easy to sell because everyone and their mother wants one of those rooms. And so for that reason, it makes them highly more desirable, and that increases your chance of having your bid accepted. Another factor is definitely time and seasonality, because this one actually makes sense. Timing definitely matters. Sailing during less busy times, like shoulder seasons in the fall, spring, outside of holidays, have way more unsold cabins. So that means there are higher chances of your bid actually being accepted. And while you can technically get a bid accepted all the way up until embarkation day, the closer you get to your departure, the fewer cabins are actually left. But if you're taking a cruise during a time of year in which there's not a lot of demand, there's a much better chance your cabin will be selected. So with all that in mind, let's talk about your strategy of bidding smart, not just high, because throwing money at the problem ain't going to do it. What you really should do instead of maxing out your bid is employ a different strategy. Cruisers have found that bidding just a little above minimum often works, and a crazy high bid doesn't guarantee success. Remember, Royal Caribbean is looking at a couple different factors that I mentioned earlier. So max bidding isn't just the cheat code to getting your bid accepted. Rather, if you just bid a little bit more, it really has more of a factor, of course, of the cabin you're already in. For popular rooms like suites, even a maxed out bid can lose if that cabin's already sold directly. So sometimes bidding strategically a little bit above average gives you the best balance. To illustrate all of this, I wanted to share some real world example. Kelsey loves to cruise, upgraded from an interior cabin to a boardwalk balcony cabin in Harmony of the Sea. She placed her bid for $125 and as it was listed at the lowest amount possible, and she still won. There are two things to think about. Number one, she had an interior room, one of the cheapest rooms out there. And if you have an interior room that's really cheap and in a good location, that can certainly help your bid. Not to mention, she was bidding on a boardwalk balcony cabin, which is not nearly as desirable as, say, a ocean view balcony. In the example of user Can Hardly Wait, they went from an interior guarantee on Icon of the Seas, and then realizing that there's a lot of cabins still left on the website by doing that mock booking strategy we talked about earlier, won the bid for an Ocean View Infinite Balcony for a minimum bid of $170. I think there are two reasons why this bid was accepted. First of all, going from an interior guarantee cabin, which is, once again, the cheapest possible cabin, and also bidding for an infinite balcony cabin, a less desirable cabin, certainly made the difference. It is also really important to understand that Royal Up really is a bit of a black box, and to that point, you really should not use it as your primary booking strategy. You should book the cabin that you actually want and be comfortable with that room. Royal Up is like playing the lottery. Wouldn't it be great if you won it, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you didn't, and certainly wouldn't ruin your life, or in this case, your cruise. So, pay the amount you're comfortable with by placing a Royal Up bid, but at least book a cabin that you're good with initially and you'd be okay sailing in. A couple other tips to keep in mind about Royal Up bids. Number one, you can bid on multiple categories, but only one will be accepted. And if you have multiple bids out there, Royal Caribbean picks whichever one is first, and there you go. You can also cancel or change your bid anytime before it's accepted. In some cases, Royal Up bids open up, and then you place your bid. But then maybe a little later, the minimums drop, and you can actually cancel and take advantage of a lower price potentially. Always check deck plans though, because you might not like where the upgraded room is located. This is actually one of the biggest problems with Royal Up, is that you might end up in a room location you don't want. In some cases, there are unsold cabins for a reason. People don't want to stay in those locations because they're susceptible to motion sickness, or maybe they're underneath or near a noisy venue like a bar or a pool or a restaurant, and there can be a lot of noise bleed that comes into the cabin. And most importantly, don't rely on Royal Up as your main strategy for getting a better room. In all of my research, one thing became apparently clear to me, and that is that there is a huge amount of luck involved with Royal Up. It's not as straightforward as being the highest bidder like it is at an auction. Rather, it's more like there's so many factors involved, and quite frankly, somebody canceling is a big one. That could easily shift the scales in your favor, but it requires somebody to really cancel at the last minute. Surprisingly, a lot of people do cancel their cruises at the last minute, but you can't bank on that. You certainly can't assume that's going to be the case. And that's why when it comes to Royal Up, it really is just luck, a little bit of strategy we talked about, and hopefully things will go your favor. So now I want to hear from you. What is the trick that you have found to getting a bid accepted? I mean, there is no magic secret, but as I discovered at least, availability, timing, strategy definitely contribute to it. But let me know in the comments below, have you won a Royal Up bid? Drop your tips or success stories in those comments below because I want to hear them. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. That way, YouTube will let you know when a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.